Welcome back, everybody, to the Daily Racing Show here at RacePlazaMedia. My name is Milan.
My name is Pia.
And today is a delayed recap of the racing weekend. So
Yes.
let's get into it.
Right into it. Play the intro. Ha!
Okay, so lots happened this weekend.
Yes.
And also not a lot happened this week.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
So so you watched the F1 race. I ended
Yes.
up not watching it, because I think that one will be pretty brief.
Yes.
So why don't you talk about it?
All right. So this weekend, of course, was the F1 race in Monaco, the crown jewel.
Monaco.
Is it Monaco or Monaco?
I don't know. I think Monaco is like the German way of saying it.
That's how we say it, exactly. But then I feel like I've been hearing them call it Monaco. Monaco.
You guys
let us know. I
how to
mean,
say it in English.
Yeah, exactly. So
honestly, only the French way really is the true way. So
yeah. So whatever this the French way, let us know.
What does Leclerc say?
I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Anyways, but speaking of Leclerc, if you watched the race this weekend, I mean, even if you didn't watch it, it was big news that he finally won his home race.
On your bingo board, you literally have Leclerc wins and
Yes.
Leclerc has a good race.
Which
in
we had
Monaco.
determined previously that the only way it is a good race for him is for him essentially
to
winning
win,
the race.
which he said himself.
Yes.
So that's a 2-for-1, and that is amazing. I'm so happy that he won it.
Yes.
He was due. He got screwed over in 2022 and 2023 back to back.
Yes.
Really unfortunate, and I'm just really happy, even though Monaco is just not what it needs to be.
I mean, the race overall was pretty boring. I mean, 70 plus laps of it was just nothing happened.
Mhm.
If you guys watched it, you know the first lap was insane.
Mhm.
I mean, it started off, of course, it was whether or not Leclerc can hold his position.
That's really it.
That was
is he
really
able to
tricky
defend
thing.
the start? Yeah.
Exactly. And then Piastri, of course, was right there and
Mhm.
wanting to get on top of him. But Piastri did have a little bit of a slower start.
Mhm.
I mean, by like the hundredths of milliseconds, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah, you know how it is.
Yeah, but so they started,
Mhm.
and then Sainz and Piastri got together. So then Sainz had a puncture, and he went off track, but he kept the track free, which is nice. But almost simultaneously,
Mhm.
there was the whole kerfuffle with the Haas and Perez,
Mhm.
where in corner or going into the third corner, Magnussen.
Is it not technically still part of turn 2 because it was as a straight? Because you have the right hand,
Yeah.
which is turn 1,
Uh-huh.
and then it was going up there and then turning in that left, right?
Yeah, that's maybe okay. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I know, but it was right at the beginning
Yeah.
anyway. So it was, I think one of the Haas, they've already made up a couple of spots, which was great for them, a great start. We had Hulke on the left side,
Mhm.
Perez a little bit in the front, and then
Magnussen.
Magnussen towards the wall. So then Perez was getting closer to the wall. Magnussen, of course, wouldn't back off. I mean, because he also wants to keep his position, but he said, well, Sergio said he didn't see him. Anyways, they got together. Sergio spun, like it was
Sergio's car
insanity.
afterward looked like a motorcycle.
Yeah, I mean, or like a trike. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
but no wheels.
That was insane.
I mean, it was really impressive that he survived it without any.
Shut up.
Sorry,
Doesn't
we
matter.
got a error message on the computer. But I mean, it was really impressive to see. It just shows how far technology has come that he got out of the car and yes, he said he
Unscathed.
was shaken up. And
Yeah,
of
of
course, there was a
course.
lot of momentum and his body being like tossed.
Bounced around, yeah.
But considering all of that, he was doing well. But it was, I mean, crazy that both Haases were also out.
Mhm.
And of course, then Magnussen was part of the situation
Yeah.
again because, of course, considering the last couple of races, he's always been in the mix with some sort of drama
Yes,
or
but
penalties.
he didn't get penalty for this
I know.
because I mean, based on from what I've seen, it's like he was there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not saying that Perez is lying when he said he didn't see him because
Yeah.
I could imagine that there's so much going on.
Yes.
You're going at those speeds.
Yeah.
And then if this guy sneaks up on you, and of course in the replay, everything looks much easier, much more clear.
Of course.
But in the heat of the moment, hey, bro, shut up. Sorry, the computer's talking so much. I'm like, no one cares. I'm talking right now. But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that he was safe.
Yes.
I think the only other big thing that happened was between the two.
Oh, Alpines. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So then almost right after that happened, or it kind of feel like lots of things happened like back to back to back.
Mhm.
But then of course the two Alpines, the besties, got into a little kerfuffle again as well. They were fighting for position. And then Ocon got onto Gasly's car,
Mhm.
but then eventually he was out. So then we had, after the first two laps, we had the both Haas's out. So Magnussen and Hulkenberg. We had Sergio Perez out. We had Ocon out. However, Sainz luckily was able to drive his car with the puncture to the pit stop after they red flagged the race because
So
of the
and then they
Checo
resumed
incident.
regular position, right? Original
Yes,
position.
because they had not even finished the lap yet, really. So, yeah, they had red flag for, I think it was like 30, 35 minutes until they restarted the race, which was quite a bit of time, but then nothing happened. Nothing. I mean, they had to restart, and then Leclerc had a great restart. There was a whole, I mean, it was a lot of strategy going on because most of the cars didn't pit again.
They already
So
did
they
a
had
compound change during the red flag.
Exactly. So then they were just trying to manage the tires, and then Leclerc was trying to manage his distance, but then also there was distance managing between like George Russell and Lando. He was trying to give him space, but also not too much space so he doesn't have a free pit stop. So there was like a lot of that going on, but not a lot of on track action. So that was a little bit of a bummer. And then the only other thing was that towards the end, like there was like 10 laps to go, and you're like, oh, he might have it. You know, Leclerc might have it. But then you never know what happens. Is like there's something with the car that suddenly happens.
You don't know.
Exactly.
Right?
Or he just takes a corner too tight, because then all of a sudden he started speeding up also, and he drove out, ended up driving out like an 8-second
which is also
lead.
like I mean, I get it, like push, but it's also like this is the most probably unforgiving track that we have. Maybe that and Baku.
Yeah.
But Baku is, I think it's not nearly as narrow.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. I mean, they have that one really, really narrow. I know, I see it exactly in front of my eyes.
The chicane that's going up the street. Yeah,
exactly.
Because that's the one I was talking about, because Leclerc has put it into the wall there before too.
So I was like so nervous, and like my heart was just racing. I was like, come on, bring it home. And he even talked about it in his post-race interview. During the last two laps, he already had tears in his eyes, and he was like talking to himself like, Charles, keep it together.
Keep it together,
it's
Charles.
not over yet. And then of course, even you could see it in the last lap that he was racing, that he was being so safe. There was so much margin on each turn. Yeah. Because there was no need to risk it.
There's nothing to prove. There's nothing to risk.
There was no need to pull a George Russell.
Yes, but I'm so happy for him. It's also good to see him on the podium for the first time since 2022.
Yes, that too, and you could hear it also over the radio how relieved. I've never heard him so happy on the radio.
The thing about it is because we only see him hear him upset or angry.
He's like the emo.
Yeah, or she's like, because like he's gotten shafted so many times.
Understandably so, yes.
And I will say, and I don't want to jinx it, right? But I do think that Fred has brought a lot of positive change to Ferrari. You know, I'm not saying everything is perfect.
No.
But I'm getting to a point where I'm not as worried about it. You know, there's Mercedes and I'm like, bro, I don't even know what the fuck you guys are doing at this point. But with Ferrari, and of course as a Ferrari fan, it's kind of nice to see that like he is bringing positive change, you know, and Leclerc is able to win Monaco. So no matter what happens now, I mean, so there's talks, because I think this is technically the last year in contract right now for Monaco. And everyone is saying there needs to be change, and there has to be change because it's just not interesting.
And it hasn't been for years.
There was also people are saying that the FIA should implement this rule that if you red flag the race, your time shouldn't stand on the board. And I kind of agree with that, especially on a track like Monaco, where there have been accusations that I think it was not last year, 2 years, no, last year, or was it 2 years ago with Sergio, that he purposely red flagged the race because he had P1.
Yeah, or quali.
And quali, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he red flagged the quali. So I do agree, because it's like, it's not interesting. And I watched the F2 sprint race, and I was hoping, because the cars are a little bit smaller, that it would be, they're not a lot smaller.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're like from the 90s. the F1 cars
No,
small.
no. Yeah.
But they're a little bit smaller, so I was hoping it would be more interesting, but it really wasn't. I will say for the F2 sprint race, I was really, really happy to see Taylor Barnard ended up winning it. He got P1, and he was able to defend it. And I will say, though, there was a lot of restarts in that race. There was a lot of safety cars.
Oh, see, that's what I was surprised by F1. There was, besides the one big thing at the beginning, there was no yellow flags, no safety cars, really.
It's kind of like everyone is just lapping.
I mean, and then even like you could hear Max's radio after the race, like he was so bored.
Yeah.
And he was not the only one. Like, yes, literally everybody was happy for Charles because they knew
how much it meant.
Exactly. And then apparently it was also, I think it's been, I think it was 10 years ago that Jules Bianchi won his first points at Monaco as well. So it was like this kind of anniversary.
Yes.
And then, of course, they talked about all the history with his dad passing and Jules passing. I mean, there's so much weight behind it.
Yeah.
So it was
just nice.
It was such a boring race. It was brutal because it's also so long.
But I think any F1 fan is not surprised by it.
Yes, no.
As I said, I was rooting for F2 to be a little bit more interesting, but you just had a lot of like people making mistakes because obviously they're not F1 material just yet. But you have a lot of people
because it's also not an easy track.
It's not, but it's like, for example, what's this? Oliver Behrman, right? He DNF'd because he made a mistake in his car, and then he clipped the wall, so it was over. Then we had I don't know if he's still the championship leader, Zane Maloney. He ended up he hit another car and stuff like that. So that was really the only thing was happening. So Taylor Barnard had to do a lot of defending or good restarts, and he did. And
nice, which is also a skill. It's not everybody can.
And it's also like the thing about it is like especially I think also Monaco, it's not like a track where you can really catch someone maybe off guard when it comes to restarts, because you have that long straight. And then it was really so it was really I was really happy to see him get that P1 in there. But that also kind of discouraged me from watching the full race, because I'm like, if this is going to be like that, then I'm like, and then I thought originally we were going to watch the race together.
Yeah, there was some miscommunication because I was on a plane.
Yes.
And that's where I had watched it, because I was like, I mean, now's the time for me
but
to
I'm
kind
of glad I didn't watch it, because
I
didn't really miss anything.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about one more thing before we move on to MotoGP.
Yes, so let's talk about another single-seater, because I feel like it's in the same vein.
Yeah.
So we watched Indy500.
I mean, we tried.
We tried to watch the Indy500 for the first time this year. And I don't really say it was a rough, because obviously you had that 4-hour delay.
Yes, which worked in my favor.
It worked in your favor because the race was supposed to start at 9:45 a.m. California time.
Yes.
So Pacific Standard Time. And then because of the rain, the race didn't start until 1:45 because it was 4:44 Eastern Standard Time. And I will say though, so you had the long delay. So I'm not blaming them. I was actually really happy. Peacock indicated, hey, the race restart is supposed to be at 4:44. So then I just turned it off at some point. I was like, okay, whatever. Because I had it on my phone for a long time. And then when I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm just going to come back for it.
Fair.
I set myself an alarm. But then it was a lot of stopping and restarting.
I mean, I think it's like I have mixed feelings about it because one, of course, there was a lot of starting and stopping because there were just constantly like incidents. Like at the beginning, they barely got a lap in without like somebody like spinning out or crashing to the ground, which is also interesting. And it was the first time we were trying to watch an oval race as well. So I was really curious about that, just because of the high speeds, and I'm also really curious about the impact on the body, just because you are going in the one
going 200 laps one direction, which
is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a
going
lot.
In one direction. And I mean, I kind of get why they have to stop the race and restart it every single time, because it is an oval. So you can't really do anything.
No, of course, which I don't have an issue with. My issue is the broadcasting of it. That every time they stopped the race, it immediately went to commercials.
And it's like an NBC thing. This is how it's going to be when we get the Olympics, when we're going to watch the Olympics. It's you get commercials with Olympics
a sprinkle
in between.
Of Olympics. Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's so incredibly frustrating. It's not a good viewing experience. And as someone watching it for the first time.
Yes.
Because, like, I don't mean to be a jerk about this, right? But why do I all of a sudden have Austin Butler? We have David Letterman interviews there. And I'm like, bro, I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, I will say this was all prior leading up to the race. But I'm like, bro.
But on the other hand, like, I would want, instead of having all those commercial breaks for all the interruptions that there were, have the commentators talk about it. Tell me more about the Indy, especially for people who are new. Like, tell me about the drivers. Tell me about why the Indy 500 is such an impactful, important race.
Because you kept
Indy.
yelling that this is the biggest racing event of the year, and then it's commercial, and I'm like, bro,
yeah,
and it's someone who's allergic to commercials.
Seriously,
I will go out of my way to avoid watching a commercial. I will mute it. I will leave the room. I pay for everything, so I don't have to see the commercial. Like, it's just a bummer that I'm gonna try it again next year because hopefully you don't have the rain, you don't have that long delay and whatever. But overall, it was a little frustrating
because I feel like it also takes you out of the race.
It does, yeah.
Like, yes, of course there are interruptions. We're used to interruptions from other types of racing, but like they don't switch to commercials for the whole time that
in F1 TV app you don't get any commercials.
No, exactly. So they fill the space with interviews,
or they go to the paddock. They have people interviewing
there, or they have their tech team breaking down what happened during the incident. Like, that's the kind of stuff I want to know and talk about. And like, if you every once in a while have to go to commercials because it's America and you have to do commercials, then fine, but not for all the interruptions for the whole time, because then they come back and it's immediately green flag, and I'm like, where are we? What's happening? Especially as a newer Indy follower, it was really tough. Yeah, it was really tough, and I was really excited about it too, because I was like, oh, I really want to watch this big event, this oval race, and I'm slowly getting more familiar with a couple of the people. Of course, we had the Penske drama. Then I'm becoming a big fan of Pato O'Ward.
Yeah, just who came second.
Yeah, which he seems like such a good guy also, and I'm sure there's many others that are on the track that are good guys, good people. But it's just, it takes you out of it, which is kind of hurting the watching experience. But if you watched it, let us know what you thought. If you feel the same way or maybe not. Yeah. We did.
Especially if you're someone who's watched it before, maybe you're like, that's just how it is. And you just have to kind of deal with it. Yeah. Or maybe you're like, what, we hear what you're saying. Just let us know. Because I am interested in watching the Indy 500 again next year, and I will be watching Indy races again this year. It's not like I'm like Indy is over for me, especially because I am a fan when they especially go to tracks and stuff like that. But once again, it was a less than perfect experience.
Yes, agreed. But then overall, Joseph Newgarden,
yes,
he won the overall race the second time in a row, which is huge.
Yes.
Huge. And then Pato O'Ward came in second, and he had this heartbreaking interview afterwards, how he was like, of course he wanted more. He wanted to win because only the winner.
Because it was so close.
It was so close because he was leading, and then
he passed him, and then the other guy passed him again. So I don't know if this was like a strategic mistake.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming you probably get the slipstream and stuff like that. So I don't know if it was like a strategic mistake. I have no idea.
I don't know. Well, let us know in the comments below. But yeah, so that was our Indy experience for this year, or Indy 500 experience for this year. But now moving on to one of our newer favorites of the season, MotoGP. This time they were racing in the Barcelona. Home race to many of the riders on the track.
It's also a track that F1 visits or will be visiting soon.
Yes.
And I actually really, really like the track. I just love also MotoGP. You obviously only have tracks. You don't have ever street races, obviously, which I love. And it was really, again, a fantastic race.
Yes.
I'm so happy about it again. MotoGP is just so good.
Yes, and I like that it's short. It's under an hour, but there's still a lot that happens.
And then what is this now? We have now 7 consecutive races or whatever without someone winning back-to-back races.
Oh, really?
Like we have so many different race winners.
Yeah.
You know, so this weekend, Pecco Bagnaia, the defending champion, was able to get the W in there, but it was so interesting and fascinating. So he was leading the race, and then eventually Jorge Martin overtook him after. Was he second?
Pedro was second for a while, which is also just a quick other heartbreak. Yeah. He ended up crashing out again. I mean, he finished the race because he was able to get on the bike again. Yeah. But it's just such a bummer.
He ended up finishing 14th or something like that.
Yeah, it's just such a bummer because he has so much potential and he's clearly so good at it. But he's had those, I don't know if it's
unforced errors or
but whatever it
is. Because it wasn't really anyone that got in. He just he leaned a little bit too far down. The bike slid out underneath him and he probably lost grip. And then he was able to get back on. But when he got back on, he was 18th. And then he was able to make up 4 places. And that was about it.
Yeah.
You know?
But then, Pecco and Jorge were fighting for quite a bit. Jorge was leading then for a minute as well. But then Pecco was just like, nah, man.
No, you won that last time. Now I'm taking it.
Exactly.
Which is also kind of nice. It's kind of like also we had like an Italian guy and then you had 2 Spanish dudes on the podium. And it's like, I guess
it's the same podium, the same people on the podium again, just the top 2 switched around. And
that comes back to our boy, or your boy specifically.
Marc
Marquez.
This guy, it's like I think he started
14th.
on like 14th, right? And then he slowly made his way up through. I mean, not slowly, because I mean, really, they're racing. But he made his way through.
He quickly. It did take him obviously some laps because it's not something where you're just like.
No, I mean, because there are also a lot of other professionals on the track.
Yeah, and also you have to be really mindful.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just so cool to see him make it through all these people. I mean, he had, I think Espargaró gave him quite a fight also. Yes. I mean, nobody, of course, just gave up. Like
they were like, oh, Mark, come on through, my friend.
But it's just nice to see that because you had so much action in the front and you slowly on the side see his name creep up through the ranks, and then eventually they gave him some more attention too. So I mean, I'm really happy to see it.
Yes, I will say, so the last time he was even able to sneaky snack his way onto second place. This time there was an 8-second gap between 3 and 2. I will say I'm not sure what's happening in qualifying because I've never watched the qualifying, but it would be he's been qualifying really badly, and it's like, and he's making up so many spaces. So wouldn't it be interesting if he would start in the front, because then he doesn't have to fight his way through the pack, because obviously fighting your way through the pack, it slows you down. You know, you're always slower behind another driver or rider, and then also you probably have a lot more wear and tear on your tires. So it would be interesting, like if he can get his qualifying together, and then you know, start from the front line and then see if he, because I think he's able to get that win in there. I think he's just like this close to it.
So close.
And I would really like to see a Marc Marquez win this year.
And especially because he's already been celebrating like he's winning all the races.
Actually, going out with him would be also so much fun because homeboy knows how to party.
Yes. And, I mean, he doesn't have all the moves.
Okay, to be fair, we only ever seen his moves in his suit.
Oh, so that's very true.
He's a little bit more limited. It's also like if you guys want to see how it looks, just watch the MotoGP intro because they're all in their suits. But obviously the suits forces you to be really, really up, you know, straight up. And like there's not a lot of movement. So they're all like, hi guys.
But even regardless of his dance moves or not, I love
he's
when
such a good time.
Just dance. It doesn't matter how good or not good you are. Just have a good time.
Have a good time. Like if you're a good dancer in my book if you're just having a good time on the dance floor, because then it's just fun. And that's what it's supposed to be.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly. And I feel like that's what he's just enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it with him.
Yes, he's very much someone you can enjoy watching.
Exactly.
Just doing his thing.
So I'm so excited to see also what comes. And I agree. Hopefully he has some better quality ahead of him so he can maybe start at a better position. I hope also Pedro Acosta will have a better race.
Miller DNF'd.
And Morbidelli DNF'd, which I also wanted to point out, which I thought was really interesting.
Binder too.
They had a couple people who crashed out, but they don't ever show it.
Yeah,
because they just show the front. I mean, wherever the action has happened, which I get, but I just thought it was interesting that they're like, it just shows on the side, oh, he's out, and then sometimes they don't even talk about it.
They don't, and then you just see them, you see the name slide down the.
It's like Hunger Games, like
yeah. It will be interesting to see if maybe Liberty Media will clean up a little bit the broadcast. Not that I think the broadcast is essentially it's bad.
No,
but it is curious because if anyone retires a car in F1 or anything like that, it's
always
mentioned,
talked about. Yes,
you know, it's not something like,
or even like shown, even if it's just like a smaller
window
screen or exactly. But yeah, I just thought it was really
maybe they were like the fight for 1 and 2 is like, we don't want to switch away from that.
Yeah, but then you can just like show
a smaller window. I agree. I'm just trying to see their thought process.
No. Yeah, of course. But I mean,
run me a check and I'll fix it for you guys.
But yeah, overall, it was another great race. I'm so glad we are getting into MotoGP.
Yes, I'm a huge MotoGP fan.
We did miss the pro motocross race this weekend. The season just started off. We didn't have time to catch that this weekend. If you did, let us know what your thoughts are on it. I definitely want to watch, now that we're going to outdoors, I would definitely want to watch it.
It was just like, it was not in the cards this weekend.
Yes.
But this upcoming weekend, I'm sure they're back because they race every weekend.
Yeah, they race all the time.
They have no days off. So I'm sure we'll catch it then. But let us know in the comments if you guys watched it, if it was a good continuation of what we've seen in Supercross or how different it is.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see that myself.
Yes, agreed.
And then let us know in the comments what you watched this past weekend, or just put in a heart for Charles.
Yes.
And then as always, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
And we will be seeing you guys here tomorrow and letting you guys know everything that you can watch racing related this upcoming weekend.
Yes.
So don't miss out on that.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye.